Welcome to this latest episode of The Tailgate. I'm outside Bill Morris Stadium in beautiful Moody, Alabama, former home for me, Moody, Alabama, with Chad Slade, former Moody student athlete, played at Auburn, played in the NFL. Now you're back home. So how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm fabulous. Getting time, just finally spend with the family. Being out here coaching these kids, and just enjoying life now. So
Yeah. What year did you graduate Moody?
I graduated 2010.
2010.
So
Okay.
it's been a while back, 13 years ago.
13
So
years. It flies by, doesn't it?
it flies by. I told that to somebody the other day. I told that to Davion. I was like, by the end of you're gonna be back here coaching up the kids. I mean, it flies
No,
by.
it does.
So yeah, it feels like yesterday. I was just signing a piece of paper going to Auburn.
Man. Do you enjoy your time out here as a player and as a student?
Oh yeah. I loved every bit of it. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, this is where I'm from. This is where this is where I came from. So I don't forget where I came from. And I had the time of my life. At the end of the day, what people always tell you, like, you don't miss the Friday. You're going to miss the Friday night lights, and just being under the lights with your friends that you grew up with most of your life. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I had a bigger journey for me, and I went and accomplished that and achieved that.
Weren't you one of the Moody's history on the football field is not great. I think it's since 1970 or so when the school came about, and until last year, I think there were only 7 win seasons overall. Were you one of the first guys to really come from the school and sign a big national letter of intent that you know of?
No. So I've know of Corey Ray. He was probably the first one. He went to Furman.
Okay.
And Austin Berry, I know he went to Georgia Tech. He went up there as a tight end. He ended up being offensive tackle. Sorry. And I think it was one more person. I know that he played in NFL. I know he was a defensive lineman. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. But besides that, I mean, I feel like I was probably the biggest one SEC-wise, and being in-state, going to one of those schools. So, it's just a blessing just to be out here. Of course, I got, one of my younger guys that's committed here now, Mon Lane. He's going to Auburn next year as well. So
yeah. Did you start off, were you always offensive line?
No. So growing up, I was defensive line. Most of my time, I was defensive line. Coach Glover, Matt Glover, came up to me. He was like, "Hey, you want to play in college?" I was like, "Absolutely, of course." And he was like, "Well, all right, we're gonna move you offensive line." And after that, my life changed. I think a month after moving, I ended up getting my first offer. I think it was Arkansas State. I think that was as a D line though. And then I ended up going to a camp. My first SEC offer was actually Mississippi State. Coach Dan Mullen was there and all that. So I mean, that was probably like one of my biggest things, because I didn't know how to react to it. Just getting a scholarship, and just my first time ever seeing colleges and being on campus and everything, and got me a first SEC offer. And then after that, the rest is history. Went to a lot of camps, got into a lot of camps and tried to grind it out. And at the end of the day, ended up getting my Auburn offer, and that's when I took it. I took it right then. So
yeah. So it sounds. Did you grow up an Auburn fan?
I did. My cousin actually played for Auburn back in 1989. Stacey Danley, he was a running back at Auburn. So that's my cousin on my mom's side. So So that was another thing that probably helped me, because he was down there at the time. He was down there living. So that was like, I have family down there. It's only 2 hours, a 2-hour commute. So easy 280 drive. Once you turn on some music and you just cruise all the way until you get to Davie, and you got to watch out for the cops.
That's exactly right. Little speed trap.
Little speed traps through everything, and I've got in trouble. I can't lie. I got in trouble doing that some days. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't take it for granted. I mean, y'all just being a college student, having fun, and just enjoying my moments.
Absolutely. What do you think, Coach Glover? I know him from after Moody, when he got the job at Pinson Valley is when I met him. But what do you think he saw in you to move you, and then things to take off that quickly? Colleges start looking at you as an O lineman.
He just saw. I mean, he saw I had potential, and at the end of the day, he was the guy I could honestly say that made the man out of me. Because before he got here, I was soft. I wanted to play basketball. I wasn't the toughest guy in the world, but Glover pushed me to that potential. I mean, if you ask any person that played for Glover, that, hey, he was a hard-nosed guy, but at the end of the day, he's going to make you better. He's going to do what he has to do to get the job done, and I respect Coach Glover for that for the rest of my life, and I couldn't thank him more enough.
Yeah. What was Auburn like for you?
Auburn was my first year getting down there. It was a surprise thing for me. Of course, I didn't know coming in, I was going to be playing or being in the national championship and getting to see, greatness of Cam Newton for 366 days of while he was on campus. And I mean, it's just crazy things like that in my time at Auburn that, I enjoyed. I went through the ups. I went through the 2012 season. I went through the rebuilding season with 2013. I've been through it all. I've been having my little roller coasters of my time at Auburn. But at the end of the day, I would never change my mind about my school.
That is, yeah, you're not kidding. There are some ups and downs through that stretch that you were there. Because,
Mm-hmm.
like, as an Alabama fan,
Mm-hmm.
2010 Iron Bowl, not my favorite.
Yeah.
2013 Iron Bowl, definitely not my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
But 2012, my absolute favorite.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, you went through. Yeah.
I went through a little roller coaster right there for a little bit,
Yeah.
and eventually I got to the point where we got up to the top, and we
Mhm.
stayed there for a little bit, and I mean it was just just being there and becoming the player I am today. It was amazing.
How do y'all as players deal with when you have those ups and downs? We hear coaches and players talk about adversity and overcoming it. What's that thought process? Like, how do you approach when you start off kind of going through the highest of highs as a freshman, and then things start to come down a little bit? How do you pick yourself up and really keep going?
You just got to work. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to know your goal in mind. I mean, of course, we're having these bad seasons, and those are things that we couldn't predict that, and we couldn't have to make, but we just have to keep, put our heads up and go to continue to work. So at each of the day, our goal each week, each year was to go to that national championship game. Of course, we didn't have those moments, but that 2013 year, I think I saw a whole another team once we got Coach Malzahn back on board.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So after Auburn, I know you got to. Were you undrafted?
I was undrafted, yes.
Okay, so what was that process like going to the Houston Texans?
So being undrafted was actually a fun thing because at the end of the day, I mean, you get to pick your team. So it's not like, hey, I got drafted to the New England Patriots and now I'm stuck here. Now it's miserable, this and that. I got to pick my team. And at the end of the day, I went with Houston, and I think that was probably my best ordeal. They were down linemen. They didn't draft any linemen. And going in there, I think it was just a free game. So, going in there and, just going there, you got to realize it's a business at that point. So, if you could be undrafted, you could be a 6th-round pick, 7th-round pick. It doesn't matter. As long as you got to go in there, you got to do your work. And I felt like, that's the time that I had to turn it up now. So, I mean, of course, I had my good years at Auburn. Now it's a job for me to provide for my family and try to get my family, got to eat. So
that's right.
How it works. Yeah, so I can't go in there and then, if I go in there and don't do my work, I'm jobless. And, it is what it is. And they don't care. That's why the NFL stands for not for long. So
that's right.
And I was just blessed enough to play 8 years in it. So
wow. How different is the NFL compared to even SEC football? Like, is it just a completely different level of physicality and speed? Or
yeah, I mean, I would say the SEC is probably the closest thing you're going to get to the NFL, and I think the next will probably be the Big Ten, of course. I got to give the Big Ten folks out there a good shout out because they get a little.
They play some physical football.
Yeah, they play some physical football, but at the end of the day, I mean,
they play the SEC.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but it's a lot. It's a mental game once you get to that level. Because I mean, at the end of the day, you have to realize it's about your preparation more than it is about you being ready to be out there, going to be strong. I can be stronger than the person, but hey, his game is different from mine. He's been studying me all week. He can tell me what I'm gonna do before I do it. Wow. It's things like that you got to be reminded. So you have to get, like, why I teach these young guys out here. It's all about your preparation. The preparation is going to win you the game. Right. At the end of the day, you can go out there and just have fun with it at that point. So, I mean, it's just like, this is how it is. That's just how life is.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I've talked to a lot of coaches, not just football, but especially in basketball. I've talked to some coaches who have said, like during practice, off season, that kind of thing, they say, we try to take these guys down to nothing so that by the time they get to a game, there's way less pressure, if any, and they're just out there having fun. They're like, this is all we got to do? Because, we've gone through heck during practice, during the off season, and now this is easy. We don't have to beat up on each other.
Yep,
we just go out there and do our thing against other people.
That's the fun part of it. You got to go out there at that point and you just have fun with it. You don't have to worry. You don't have to stress. You've been mentally preparing yourself for this moment right here. And I mean, at the end of the day, you have a 17-game season in the NFL, but I mean, that flies by fast. It flies by real fast. So, before you know it, I mean, you do so much work in the off season. You do 6 months work in the off season just for a 17-game season, and that's all the opportunities you get to try to get to the main goal, and that's the Super Bowl.
So. Yeah. Who are some of the toughest guys that you went up against while you were in the league?
Honestly, I can say my time in Houston, just being at practice, was probably the worst ordeal. Going against J.J.
JJ
Watt
Watt.
every day, Javion Clowney, Bernard
Oh, I forgot
McKinney.
about that.
Yeah, even the Honey Badger at some point in time when I first got there,
Oh,
Vince
Matthew
Wilfork.
Wilfork was.
Yeah, Wilfork was there. I had good 2 years with Wilfork.
How strong is that guy?
Oh,
Oh
he's
my
he's
gosh.
he's a hoss for sure. But I mean, he's by far one of the greatest guys I've ever met. He's a guy that if I'm a younger guy and I can look up to anybody. I've had plenty of those guys. Like I'll say Vince Wilfork, one of my old heads, Dwayne Brown, a tackle. He's played 14, 15 years in the league, and just looking up to those guys because I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I can name so many more. Just because you got to know how. Once you get into that, you got to know how to be a pro. You got to prepare like a pro and have everything like a set schedule to a sense. So I mean, you can't go in there and think that oh yeah, you can come in and leave by 3 o'clock. No, those guys stayed till 5, 6 o'clock at night, come in at 5:30 in the morning just to get their preparation in, just for practice in the games.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I know y'all didn't cross paths, but the Texans just recently hired DeMeco Ryans, Bessemer, Alabama native, played at Alabama. He's been the DC at 49ers. Do you know much about him? Do you like that hire?
Yeah, I mean, I've of course, I mean, seeing him at the San 49ers, I mean, they had a good defense, and I mean, I didn't get a chance to play with DeMeco or get a chance to do anything with them. But from the locker room, I've heard a lot of great things. I know he played with JJ. I know he played with a lot of the older guys, but I know he was well respected in the organization, and I think that's a great hire for them because I mean, he's just a guy that's coming back home to and I know he's going to do great for that city because that city needs it. And I know the city of Houston is by far probably one of my best cities I've been in. Of course, I've only been into New York and Houston, but Houston was a city that I mean I will cherish forever. That's my first home. My first, my son, he was his first time as being in Houston, and that's the thing about it was, I mean, that's home for me, and I want that team to do very good.
Yeah. What was your favorite thing about Houston? Not necessarily, in the building or anything, but just the city itself. What was the best thing about Houston?
Just the nightlife, the food for sure. The food's by far the biggest thing you're going to get because there's so many varieties of food of what you're going to get. The Mexican food probably was top notch. Barbecue is probably the best I've ever had. And it's just things like that you get to experience in these cities, and especially in Houston, the big city life. Coming from a town like Moody, I mean, you don't see skyscrapers or sit in traffic for 2.5 hours. It's crazy things like that you have to experience to know that, oh wow, I mean, it's more than Alabama than me.
Sure.
So it's bigger cities out there, and I that's the thing I loved and enjoyed was especially the food. The food, I think that was probably top notch.
Well, if Houston was a big city, then you move on to New York.
Yeah, New York. New York was a different ball game. That's probably one of the most interesting cities I've ever had to stay in. Of course, I had to stay in New Jersey because that's where all the things are at. But being able just to experience, I had a 1-bedroom apartment I was paying like $4,000 for, but it had the skyline of the New York City skyline. But I just know that if you don't leave by a certain time in New York, you can sit in Houston traffic for 2 hours. You're not going to sit in New York traffic for 2 hours. You're going to sit about a good 4 to 5 hours, if that.
Gosh.
But I mean, I loved everything about New York as well. I still got some great friends that play up there, and the food up there by far was you still get your varieties of places, of course, as well. So Italian is probably the biggest thing up there, and it's just great. But the only thing I could really say, I've been in 2 different environments of hot and cold. So I kind of contrasted myself.
Wow.
So yeah.
Which one could you? I mean, could you live in a place like New York year round?
I could. I actually got to the point where I started getting used to it because at the end of the day, it wasn't going to change the difference of things. Because unlike Alabama, New York, when they have snow, they're prepared for it. So we're not prepared. Yeah, we're not prepared at all. So we had a snow, and I'm thinking that, oh yeah, practice gonna be canceled. It is what it is. So I go to bed. I'm going to bed comfortably. I'm like, okay, we're gonna have an extra time to go in. I wake up, look at my phone. Alarm goes off. I look outside. The roads are all clear. I was like, and coach called, hey, we still got same normal times. Going down the field, snow just moved to the side.
Oh my
It
gosh.
was a crazy experience, man. But I enjoyed. I needed that. I
Yeah.
enjoyed everything. I take everything for granted. So I think that was a sign
Yeah.
for me to be there in the
Well,
cold.
that's
So.
I mean that's cool to come from a place like Moody or just somewhere in the South and get to live somewhere completely different and really kind of buy into that culture and really feel it for more than like a vacation or something.
Yeah,
But you're like
absolutely.
actually living there and kind of get to learn the not just the vibe but just how people do things, the type of people there are. That's really cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I spent a week, maybe almost a week in New York. Gosh, I guess it's been like 10 years. And I was lost.
Yeah.
And I was just like, we looked, we were walking around, we were going to go to Central Park, do all the touristy things. And we didn't take a cab. We had taken the subway a little bit. And then we were looking at like Google Map and we were looking for like a Dunkin' Donuts. And it was like, okay, it says it was like 6 blocks or, you know, whatever. And we're like, no, that's it. We'll just walk that.
Yeah.
6 blocks there is a little different than
Yeah.
6 blocks in like Birmingham. So like an hour later walking, there it was.
Yep.
I spent a lot of time just sitting in that Dunkin' Donuts. And I was like, I'm exhausted. It's 9 a.m.
Yep.
The place is massive.
It's real big, and I had to figure that out for myself. I took the family, and we just wanted to go tour the city and all that. And we got to the point where I had to be back by a certain time to get to the hotel, and I was kind of like, hey, we're pushing time because I don't know what block we're on. We're in Times Square, and we're probably down here. We need to be down here. It's things like that. But just getting that experience and just living that experience, it's the most funnest thing you get to do. Just you know, it's being lost. It's fun being lost there. It's just you know, it's just you never know. It's like Lost in the City of New York. It's like Home Alone.
Home Alone 2.
Home Alone 3, the Moody edition. That's how I felt like it was.
I like that.
Yeah.
As long as you don't have like the sticky bandits after you, you're
no, as long as you got nobody after you, can just be lost on your own and you know just explore everything you want to explore. So
that's cool. When did you come back and get involved back here at the alma mater?
So last year, I still had a few workouts. You know, it was a crucial time for me in my life. You know, it was making the transition from being an NFL player back to being a coach. Jake Gaines called me. We've been good friends for a long time. We actually trained together when he's coming out of college and he's going to the NFL, play for the Vikings. He calls me in and he was like, "Hey, I want you to come coach O-line." And of course, I was kind of like, you know, I don't really know what I want to do yet, and all that. And you know, he was like, "Just think on it, take some time." I had a few workouts. Nothing really panned out from them, and after that, you know, I told Jake, I was like, "This is like I can do it. I want to do it. I want to try it out. Let me give it a shot." And I think we did a pretty good job and successfully turned this program around. I think that's all him. So I think he did a great job coming in, coaching the kids, getting the standard right, trying to teach them how to be a player, how to really take the game real serious. So I think they learned a lot from that this past year.
Because you were a guy like we've talked about that played here, you went to school here, so you very much understand Moody, you understand the culture, that kind of thing. I mean, just year one, the buy-in had to be off the charts to have the kind of season Moody had in 2022. What were some of those key factors that really got this program kind of re-energized?
Honestly, once we got rid of the bad apples out of the thing, like we made it so hard for them that you had no choice but to change. You had to buy in. You had to do what you have to do because at the end of the day, in your mind, the state championship is your goal. So I mean, that's been a goal here for so long that hasn't been accomplished, and this team knew that they had the body to, they had the foundation to set, and they was getting new everything. They got a new field, they got new coaches. It couldn't get better than that, and we came in this year, and I think we did a pretty good job with them. I think they bought in pretty fast with everything. They were real hungry. You could just tell by the way they practiced or where they came out here with a mentality. And I think that, we got out the second round, but I know that, that was probably the most hurtful thing that we could have done. But I mean, that's just that they set the foundation for all these Moody teams for the rest. I mean, I can honestly say I'm proud of them because I couldn't do what they did. They, being 10-2, beating all these records and doing all this, they was probably the best team to come through Moody. If not, I mean, of course, there's more teams like that, but this was the best team.
Yeah. I mean, that you mentioned that foundation. That foundation now is kind of set. How do you keep building it? How do you sustain it going forward?
You just got to keep working. They got to keep coming out here. They got to have that mentality because you got to see, like, at the end of the day, this year we had 9 science, 7 football. So at the end of the day, like, your goal in mind is to, you want to play at that next level. And I think that we have a team hungry enough to show and that they can play at the next level. I mean, you see everybody that was in front of them, and, at the end of the day, like, we have people that compete every day, that sometimes we have that hard decision to make of, hey, who are we gonna start this week, or things like that. That that's a great problem to have.
Right.
Most people don't realize that. Like, if you have a problem of who you want to put out there each and every Friday, that's a good problem to have. I think we made practices pretty hard for them. Make them know that. I mean, I had an NFL mindset still, so I treat my O-line like an NFL mindset. We all about our technique. We all about everything like that, and this next group knows it's the same thing. So I mean, we don't have the Mason Myers no more. We don't have all that. We have us now. This is just our room now. So we gotta know that we gotta come together as a unit, and that's the only way we're gonna get the job done.
Yeah. Outside of football, I mean, I know you're dabbling some in some restaurant stuff now, right?
Yeah. I'm an
tell me
entrepreneur
about
now. So I got a new business, American Kolache. It's in Vestavia on Montgomery Highway.
Yeah.
I got the idea, of course, when I was in Houston, of course, because of the food. But it originated in the Czech Republic. It's like a little roll that has feelings of, each kind of feelings. Texas kind of grabbed it and kind of made it bigger, of course, because everything's bigger in Texas. So, they put all this stuff that you can get anywhere else. Like, we got a buffalo chicken, we got a sausage and gravy, we got all different kind of things that you couldn't get like in a roll. So that was a thing that I got from Houston, of course. I tell the story all the time where I was in Houston and I used to have to make the rookie runs, and it would be 120-degree heat outside, and I'm just sitting there going back and forth in this heat.
Mm-hmm.
And once I tried them for the first time, I was like, it's worth it. Like, it's worth this walk, because at the end of the day, I'm eating it, but I'm walking off my calories.
Yeah.
So, I made it after that, and I thought that, once I had it, I'm like, is there anything like this in Birmingham or anything like that? And to find out it wasn't. So my store is the first one that's open from kolaches that actually have just kolaches.
Wow, that's cool. Is it going well?
It's going good. It's going real good. We're still trying to get our name out there, of course. I mean, just new businesses. Everybody's still trying to figure out what we are really,
Right.
and we still got some kinks that we're trying to get out as well. We're still a new store. I'm a new kind of a owner guy, so I mean, this is my first time. I've been playing football for 12 years. Now I'm going into a food business. So at the end of the day, I got to put my mentality right, because at the end of the day, I go get the business right now. I got to come back out here with the boys. So it's just just getting that right mentality going, and you got to be ready to go, because we start every day at the American Kolache at 2 a.m. Making dough, preparing everything for the next day, and we're open from 6 to 2 and things like that we're just trying to get going, and trying to get the employees and all that right. So it's been going well, though. I can say
good.
that.
Well, I tell you what, you've got rolls stuffed with sausage and gravy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to take long for people to find out about that in Alabama.
Oh yeah. We gave it to the boys for the breakfast for the first for every game, actually, and they always ask coach, what can you bring me sausage and gravy? Can you bring me sausage and gravy? And I was like, I got you. So I had to bring sausage and gravies up here for every practice, so just so they can eat and have a good thing. But I enjoy doing that, making them happy and make sure they're good, so they know I'm gonna take care of them. So anybody gonna take care of them, they know Coach Slade got it.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else, Chad?
Honestly, I don't think I have anything.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of some stuff.
Yeah. It's all good if not.
I was trying to think. I don't think I have anything besides.
You got a lot going on.
Yeah, I have so much going on, really. So I'm just trying to think of things I've been doing, because I mean, I've been trying to really get everything going with this coaching thing. So I didn't know it was actually 10 years from our 2013 reunion for the SEC championship reunion. So I think I'm trying to think if I got anything. No, do you have anything?
No,
can't think of
that's
nothing.
it. I just appreciate you chatting with me.
Oh no, I appreciate
taking the time and
I appreciate you.
Here.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming out here. I mean, it's being out here in this new stadium and everything. I didn't get the chance to play in it, so that's the thing about it. I mean, like they got pretty much all new facilities. They're about to get a whole new school. So I mean, it's been just seeing the city, just upgrade the city, man. It's good to be back in the city. Yeah. So I mean, it's been years since I actually been back here. So once he asked me to come coach, I mean, of course I had to think about it a little bit, just for the family's sake.
Sure.
Just because I didn't know what was going to be next for me, and I had to make sure the kiddos was good, because I mean those ones that been really taking the dagger from me, honestly, from me being gone all the time and trying to realize, like, I got to come back and be a dad, and let football go away. So I mean, it's things like that that I'm just trying to make sure that everything's good. So
No, it sounds good. It sounds like things are going well, and
yeah,
really found a place back home.
Yeah, I found a place back home. I'm happy to be here. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be out here coaching these kids, be out here with my business, of course. It's just been a blessing, honestly. I mean, I couldn't ask for more. I've had 12 good years of football, from college all the way from Auburn all the way from the NFL. I mean, it's just a blessing to be out here to come teach these kids, because I know some of these kids will play at the next level and will play after that. So I tell them that every day, especially once kids realize how to train and actually how to be a pro. Because I mean, I know a lot of coaches tell them, in high school, like, hey, like you got to train like a pro, but you got to know how to be a pro before you are a pro. So that's how we tell them each and every day, like how to come in, how to handle yourself, or what's to do. Like every morning, I wake up at 5:30 in the morning, and I brush my teeth. I do the same routine each and every day, just because that's just how it's been embedded in me for 12 years, and that's how I try to teach my kids and how I try to teach the players out here. And I think we've been doing a solid job of that. And I think that year two is going to be a fun little experience for us. We got a lot of kids coming back. But besides that, I think we're gonna be good, and I think we're gonna be hungry. I think we're gonna that second round feeling. I tell them each and every day, like you got to get that sixth feeling out, because I mean at the end of the day, like I tell them each and every day, they're out here running sprints. I say, how you felt on that last game in November. This is how you feeling right now. You tired, you're crying, you're doing all this, like you're doing all that. Push yourself through everything, and at the end of the day, I think we're gonna have a pretty good season. So
that's awesome.
Yep.
We'll end on that.
Yep.
Thank y'all for watching this one with Chad Slade. Chad, I appreciate you coming by.
I appreciate you having me.
Y'all do all the things, like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that little bell to get notifications when there's a new video, and we'll see y'all next time.
Sir.